Welcome back to the Georgia Hour with BKP on voiceofruralamerica.com. This is where we take 1 hour a day from 10 to 11 o'clock, Monday through Friday, and we spend an hour discussing Georgia. If you have news, if in your area of Georgia something is breaking, now in an hour we can't get to everything, but we will try. So you have our website, you have our email address. You have our phone number, everything you need, get it to us. If you're reading legislation that is being dropped down at the State House, get it to us and let's go through it and work together. We need your help. And don't hesitate to let us know how you feel we're doing or what we might be missing out on. Now, I just want to say this briefly because Georgia is a hotbed of corruption. And we have a circle of corruption. And let me just say this. We have a circle of corruption. We're the land of the grifters, where people monetize their hype. We are the land of the storm chasers, where people chase a story or a feeling or a sensation for 2 days, and they don't stick around for the devastation of the storm. So we have a lot of what I call storm chasers and grifters in Georgia. I want to tell you this. Donald Trump, President 47, Donald J. Trump, since becoming president, has mentioned the 2020 election about 4 times, referencing rigged. Okay? So let's be clear. Let's be clear on something. So here's the foundation. Donald Trump has not moved on for good reason. For good reason. He's not moved on. Donald Trump has not accepted the results of the 2020 election. Donald Trump has not asked you to accept what they call the results of the 2020 election. So you got to keep that in mind. We sit here today. Yesterday, in the press conference, he referenced rigged twice yesterday. Keep that in mind, okay? Yes, those will be my dogs in the background. I'm sorry. Can't do nothing about it. Home alone. It's cold. Can't do anything about it. So, yes, if you hear any barking, those are my dogs. But Donald Trump said twice yesterday in that press conference, okay, rigged election. So ask yourself, going into this legislative session, what you and I will get out of it as Georgians to protect our vote. What we will get out of it in investigating what happened in 2020. First of all, Friday, I told you this, Friday, I'm going to give a speech on what's next. I had it planned for the Hall County Republican women tomorrow night, and they've had to cancel that due to weather. And I don't want to wait any longer. So Friday at 10 a.m., I'm going to give a speech on what to do next. We need to close our primaries. We need closed primaries in Georgia. They don't even discuss it. Not even discussed. We need to close our primaries. So we'll talk about that in great detail Friday. And I was going to get into some legislation. And then I was going through the AJC this morning as I keep up with what they do and what they're reporting. And I came across this article. And as I was reading it, I thought, this can't be true. And when I say it can't be true, all right, 69. Now, Georgia is a state school, UGA. And we're not on here this morning to go after Kirby Smart. We're just not here to do that. But payday. Georgia has updated its list of state employee salaries. It's no surprise who remains top dog. Now, this is taxpayer money funding. Number 70, according to the updated list, the University of Georgia head football coach Kirby Smart is still the highest paid state employee for the 7th year in a row. He earns $12.2 million in 2024 fiscal year. $12.2 million. Wow. Out of Georgians' nearly 68,000 state workers, 15 made more than $1 million, and 121 earned more than $500,000. And I said to myself, no, this is not true. What are they doing? So out of Georgia's 68,000 state workers, 15 made $1 million and 121 earned more than $500,000 according to the AJC's analysts' new data from the Department of Audits and Accounts. Take a look at the job titles in the $500,000 club. Yeah. 68 university professors or department leaders. Wow. 27 athletic coaches or staff, 11 college officials, 5 superintendents. 5 superintendents of school countywide. They're telling me make $500,000 or more. I'm like, this cannot be reported correctly. 3 teachers, retirement office investors, 2 chancellors and vice chancellors, 2 athletics administrators, 2 Georgia Port Authority executives, 1 Department of Transportation commissioner. Department of Transportation commissioner in Georgia pays $531,625. Now, here's what I want to share with you. And this is my opinion because attorneys are standing by. And if you believe they actually just settle for this. So what you want me to believe is the transportation commissioner Russell McMurry makes $531,625,000, but yet Brian Kemp only makes $182,000. Now that might be what the state pays him, but Brian Kemp, look at his worth. Look what he entered. Look at his net worth when he entered office into his second term, what he's worth now. And it's not possible that Brian Kemp could be worth this much money in the millions, making $182,000 a year. Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones earned $99,000. $99,000. So you can't convince me that the Department of Transportation Commissioner made $531,625 and he made $99,000. There are other benefits and perks to the job. That's what really bothers me with politics, is how these politicians are become so wealthy while in office. Moving right along. Go ahead and let's start with 72. So we're going to roll through these quickly. Universities, 72, Kirby Smart, we just talked about that one. Michael White, head coach of the men's basketball University of Georgia. That's the next one is $3.6 million. Brent Kay, head coach of Georgia Tech, he makes $3 million. Number 73, defensive coordinator of Georgia, makes 2.1. Stratemeyer, men's basketball coach at Georgia Tech, 2.1. Mike Bobo, offensive coordinator, 1.3. Chief of pediatric heart surgery and professor at Augusta University, makes $1.3 million. President, Georgia Tech, $1.2. Number 74, Trey Scott, defensive line coach. Defensive line coach makes $1.2 million. Now, wait a minute. Wait till we get there. Richard Lee, cardio. I can't do it. You know I can't do it. I can pronounce it in my brain, can't roll it out. Augusta University, $1.2 million. And then we have state agencies. Now we're going to get into the state agencies. The Georgia Port Authority, Griff Lynch, $1.4 million, right? Charles Carey, Chief Investment Officer of the Teachers Retirement System, he makes $1 million a year. Wow. The co-chief is assistant. Teachers Retirement System makes $898,000 a year. Right? Is that a year? Wow. Thomas Horkin, co-chief investment officer. That's him, $886,000. Ed McCaffrey, chief operating officer of the Georgia Port Authority, $674,000. And then we have the chief commercial officer, $673,000. Now we get to Sonny Perdue. Sonny Perdue, chancellor, Board of Regents, $532,000. Now I understand there's benefits that go with that Board of Regents job is really around $1 million, but we'll leave it here of what's being reported. $532,000. Sonny Perdue. Wow. Department of Transportation, we had that one earlier, 77. Russell McMurry, $532,000. Board of Regents, Teresa McCarthy, Executive Vice Chancellor. Now, wait, back up a minute. The Chancellor got $532,000. Sonny Perdue got $532,000. The assistant, the Executive Vice Chancellor, got $518,000 a year. Wow. Jamie McMurry, Georgia Port Authority, $492,000. Now, local school boards. This one knocked me out. I'm going to give you something on school board superintendents. Okay? I'm going to give you something on superintendents. What has happened in the last 15 years in the state of Georgia? Christopher McMichael, superintendent of Barrow County Board of Education, $691,000 a year. Now, when you hear this, you remember when Brian Kemp brags in Georgia and your lawmakers brag in Georgia, where we fully fund education. Fully fund education. Fully fund the security of our children. This is what happened. Now, I can find it for you. I'll bring it up. I just want to make sure I'm accurate. You know what they say. Now, here is, let's go to 78. Let's go to 79. Now this is the $500,000 club. All right. Nathan Franklin, superintendent, Walton County Board of Education, $561,000 a year. Brian Hightower, superintendent of Cherokee County Board of Education. Cherokee County superintendent, $533,000 a year. Damn. Adam Hathaway, Tift County, $530,000. Christopher Ragsdale, Cobb County, $517,000. And Michael Looney, Fulton County, $497,000 a year. We have small counties, very small counties. Superintendents making like 180, 160, 210, 230. You got to keep in mind, you're seeing these 500, 497 and up. There's still a lot of counties where they make from 150 to the 500 mark that make 375, 410 that are not on this list. So while I'm at superintendents of school, all right, let's go to number 80. Calvin Watts, superintendent of Gwinnett County, $475,000. Mark Albertus, right? Carrollton, $401,000. Anthony Smith, Clayton County, $397,000. Mark Scott, Houston County, $372,000. Wow. Now, let me say something about superintendents of school. I think right here it said, give me number, Diane, give me number, give me number 70. Now it says the average, and this is not, because what they're doing is they're taking salaries in large counties, and they're taking the salaries in very small counties. So this is not an accurate, it's a compiled amount divided by. So it says the average salary for a teacher is $64,000. That's not accurate statewide. There's teacher salaries in the 40, and there's teacher salaries maybe a little higher than that. Before you get to a classroom, when you go into a school, and let me look at the camera and just tell you something. Go to your Board of Education building, your school center, whatever it's called. A superintendent of school, $300,000, $250,000, $185,000, $400,000, $600,000 almost, right? Then look at the assistant superintendent and the other assistant superintendent, the assistant superintendent in charge of transportation and facilities, the assistant superintendent in charge of academics. What you're seeing is just the surface. And go look at how much money is in that headquarters. Then go to your schools. Now, I love teachers. I really do. I love teachers. I do. I can sit here today and tell you every teacher from kindergarten to 6th grade I went to. And I can remember them because they had that kind of impression in my life. I love teachers. I think for the most part, most teachers want to teach and they care for their students. But go look at your schools on the administrative side. How many principals you have? You got principals. I'm going to talk in small school areas. You got principals making 120, 130, 140. You got assistant principals making 92, 93. Look at how much money is in the office of the school before you ever get to a classroom. Ever get to a classroom. Now, I'm not out here today saying that principals are bad, and not here today to say take on the school system. I am here to tell you, if you have a $300,000 superintendent, you've got several assistant superintendents, and they're not making chump change. You've got several in the administrative office before you ever get to the school. Then in the corporate office, I call it, then in the administration, principals, vice principals, counselors, whatever, before you get to a classroom. So one more thing on this note that really bugs me. Years ago, in your local community, you voted on a superintendent of schools. Now, if you go look it up, I can look it up for you. We used to elect our superintendent of schools. We used to elect in your local elections. Go look it up. There was a time in Georgia where you elected the superintendent of school. They ran for office in your county. And they got reelected and reelected if they were doing a good job. And that's who your superintendent of schools would be. We abolished that. And the reason we abolished that is we wanted to create, right? We wanted to create this behemoth, whatever it is, that lords over you. So I don't dislike superintendents of schools, but it's a system. And your superintendent of school, for the most part, is not tied to your community. So what happened years ago, you elected your superintendent of school. They had to live in your community, be from your community. There you go. Then we took it away. And there's a reason why we took it away, what you see here today. And then after we took it away, we had the Board of Education appoint and hire your superintendent of schools. That was going to be a great thing. But if they did that and they hired someone in your county, that would be nepotism and playing favorites, and everybody would be fighting. That's their excuse. So what they first started selling you is it brings more unity if we go outside of the district and find our superintendent of schools. And I have been in the meetings where they gave the speeches that we brought this superintendent of schools in from another county 3 hours from here, and they will not be here to play favorites, and they will be here just to love, care, and teach the best interest for our children and not be bound to any nepotism pulled any certain way. I've heard all the speeches. School systems, go ask school system. Now, what we've done is we put a layer in called the search, the superintendent search. There's a company. Yes, there's a company that they provide you a list of qualified superintendents of schools that are available that will work for your salary. So you need a superintendent of schools? Do you take resumes? No. Do you do all the interviews? All the interviews? No. What you do is you hire this company that does all the vetting, all the screening, and says, this is the superintendent of schools you want. And if you want to be a superintendent of schools now in Georgia, you get in that network or you don't stand a chance. So what happens? Your local school wants a superintendent of schools. They reach out. They pay a fee. They pay this company a fee. And what this company will do is they will send you 3 candidates. They've been vetted, reviewed, everything, and they do all the interviewing, and they send them to you, and then you can interview them and make the decision out of the three candidates. It's all a friggin' racket of money. It's one of the most enormous ripoffs from the taxpayers in the state of Georgia is what happens to hire your county superintendent of schools and how much they make. You want to quit? You want to tell Brian Kemp and your lawmakers to quit calling you and telling you they have fully funded education. Because I'm not opposed to someone making a good living. But when you have 7 grade schools in your county and you have 7 principals making $115,000, 105 over, that's teetering on $700 and some $1,000 in grade school, elementary school principals alone. All right, we're going to talk Georgia legislation tomorrow. I promise we're going to get back on track there. And you know what's funny is Donald Trump is moving at such breakneck speed, even the media can't figure out what day it is. Give me video 8.
On the East Coast, this is a live look at Atlanta, Georgia. On this, what day is today? It's the Trump administration. I can no longer keep track of what day it is. Wednesday. It's Wednesday. Good morning, everyone.
Trump is back in. What is it? Is it Wednesday? You can't keep track. He's moving at breakneck speed. While we're talking about education, just make sure that this is not how you spell Eagles. Video 21.
E-L-G-S-E-S, Eagles! Let's go, Birds!
Just saying. I will see you tomorrow morning when it's going to be 14 degrees, not 5. Take care, stay safe, be careful. I'll see you tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Thank you for joining us with the Georgia Hour.